What if everything you were taught about heartbreak was a lie? What if walking away wasn't weakness, but strength in its rawest form? What if silence hurt more than shouting and absence had more power than any desperate text could? Today, I want to talk to the man who's been broken, ghosted or discarded like he didn't matter. The man staring at his phone, hoping she'll come back. The one replaying every moment, wondering where it went wrong. Let me tell you something. She doesn't regret losing the man who begged. She regrets losing the man who became silent. Stoicism doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't fold. This isn't about revenge, this is about rebirth. This is the moment you stop chasing closure and start commanding your energy. It's about becoming the man who can walk away and, in doing so, control everything. If you're done bleeding for someone who wouldn't even hand you a bandage, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. Section 1. Silence speaks. Number 1. Silence is louder than begging. She expected him to crumble. That's the pattern. Right? Break his heart, watch him unravel, maybe even get a little ego boost from the chaos. But this time, something was different. He didn't scream, he didn't chase, he didn't beg for her to see what she lost. He just disappeared. No response, no questions, no breadcrumbs online, just cold, calculated silence. And it shook her. Because silence forces someone to sit with themselves, their decisions, their guilt, begging hands over control. Silence takes it back. When you resist the urge to explain, to plead, to chase closure, you take control. And in doing so, you leave her with a mystery. She didn't know if he was hurt, healing, or already moved on. That uncertainty became her prison. Stoicism is not about pretending you don't care. It's about realizing that some things are beneath your reaction. Your peace is more sacred than anyone's validation. The man who walks away in silence isn't cold. He's dangerous because he's focused, building, learning. And every second he stays quiet, his value increases in her eyes. Ask yourself, are you trying to win her back or win yourself back? Every time you stay silent, you remind her and yourself who really holds the power. If you're done explaining yourself to someone who stopped listening, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. Section 2. Pain as a teacher. Number 2. Pain is a teacher, not a prison. He felt it, the gut punch of loss. The kind of pain that makes you question everything. That kind of heartbreak doesn't just hurt, it rewires you. But here's the difference. He didn't run from it. He didn't numb it with distractions or try to escape it. He sat in it, let it break him open, so he could see who he truly was. Most people treat pain as something to avoid, but a Stoic treats it as a mentor. This pain taught him more than any celebration ever could. She thought heartbreak would keep him crawling. Instead, it woke him up. Every tear he didn't let fall, every scar he carries is now armor. Stoicism turns heartbreak into clarity. It says, feel it, learn from it, but don't become it. When a man is reborn from pain, he doesn't need closure. He doesn't need apologies. He doesn't even need her. Section 3. Value in absence. Number 3. Value withdrawn becomes value desired. At first, she didn't feel the loss. It felt like freedom, like control. She thought he'd be waiting, orbiting her life like a sad little moon. But he wasn't. He pulled back completely, no half measures, no breadcrumbs, just gone. That's when it hit her, his attention, his loyalty, his presence. It was rare. When he took it away, it left a vacuum, a silence that screamed. You see, value is only recognized in its absence. When you're always there, always available, it becomes background noise. But when you withdraw, everything changes. She started to wonder, why hasn't he texted? Why hasn't he liked my story? That's what happens when someone who gave everything gives nothing. Stoicism teaches that your time, your presence, your energy is sacred. Don't give it to people who treat it like it's disposable. You don't chase love. You embody value and let others feel your absence. She'll crave what she can't have. When a man disappears without drama, he becomes an unsolvable puzzle. She'll wonder if he's hurt, healed, or moved on, but she'll never really know. That mystery becomes her regret. Section 4. Detachment is the ultimate flex. She expected him to flinch, to fall apart, to try and prove his worth. But he didn't. He walked away, not in bitterness or rage, but with calm detachment. And that messed with her head because most men react, most men chase. But this one chose stillness. He didn't try to make her jealous. He didn't post flashy photos or force a comeback. He simply detached, not coldly but powerfully. That kind of detachment isn't apathy, it's discipline. And that's deadly attractive. In dark psychology, detachment triggers curiosity and insecurity. Why isn't he reacting? Why doesn't he care? What is he doing now? The gap between her expectations and his indifference becomes a trap. She can't manipulate someone who's no longer emotionally available. Detachment is the cleanest form of power. No messy arguments, no revenge games, just emotional neutrality that says, I'm not yours to disturb anymore. Stoicism teaches us that peace isn't found by controlling the external. It's about mastering the internal. He doesn't need her approval or an apology. And here's the twist. When you stop needing something, it starts wanting you. But then it's too late. The man who detaches isn't pretending. He's moved on in the most dangerous way emotionally. She could walk back in tomorrow, and he'd look at her like a stranger. Calm, clear, and unmoved. Detachment doesn't mean you never cared. It means you've accepted reality, learned the lesson, and evolved beyond the chaos. The man who can walk away without emotion is the one who's already won. Not because he played the game better, but because he stopped playing altogether. Number 5, control the inner, own the outer. He stopped trying to control what was never his to begin with, her thoughts, her feelings, her decisions. That's where most men lose. They obsess over why did she leave? What is she thinking? How do I fix this? But the truth is, trying to control someone else is weakness disguised as love. The real power is internal. It's when a man stops reacting to her chaos and starts mastering his own mind. She expected him to spiral, to stalk her social media, to try and win her back with grand gestures. But he didn't. He disappeared into discipline, into silence, into self-work. He made the gym his sanctuary, not some rebound. He didn't vent to friends. He reflected, he read, he wrote. He built, not to prove something to her, but to reclaim control of the one thing she could never take from him, his inner world. Stoicism teaches that you own nothing except your responses. And that's the power move. He didn't try to rewrite the story. He rewrote himself. He stopped asking, why did she do this to me? And started asking, why did I allow this? That shift, that is everything. When you control your emotions, your reactions, and your energy, you become a force. Forces don't chase, they attract. She started to notice him not because he was loud, but because he was absent. Not because he flexed, but because he glowed. When a man stops seeking control and starts radiating calm certainty, he becomes dangerous, unshakable. And that's when the regret hits her, because the chaos that once controlled him now means nothing. He doesn't need her to come back. He doesn't even need her to understand. He's in control of himself now, and through that, he controls everything. Number 6, attention is currency, and he stopped spending it. At first, she didn't notice. One less like, one less view, one less message. But then it kept happening. Days turned into weeks, and the digital silence became deafening. His name no longer popped up. His attention, once consistent and predictable, had vanished, and that hit her harder than any argument ever could. Why? Because attention is currency, and he stopped spending it on her. She took it for granted. the way he always checked in, the way he supported, engaged, and responded. But when he pulled back, when he became invisible, she felt it in her bones. People don't value your presence until you give them your absence. That's when she started to panic scroll, post more, and try to bait him back into her orbit. But it didn't work. Because this time, he wasn't playing, he wasn't watching, he wasn't coming. Dark psychology teaches that withdrawing attention causes cognitive dissonance. It disrupts the ego. She assumed he'd always be there, that his attention was free, endless, and guaranteed. But no, he reclaimed it. He redirected it into his growth, his circle, his mission. That withdrawal made her realize something brutal. She had lost access to something rare, not just him, but the version of herself that felt valuable through his eyes. Stoicism reinforces this. Don't spend your attention recklessly. Guard it like gold. Give it only to what serves your peace and your purpose. He didn't ghost her to hurt her. He ghosted her to heal himself. And in doing so, he became a man she couldn't reach because she no longer qualified for his energy. She started to miss the validation, the certainty, the love. But by then he was gone, fully, intentionally, unapologetically, and that's when she finally understood. The most expensive thing a man can give isn't money, gifts, or words. It's his focus. And now, his focus was on everything she never appreciated. Number 7, the power of indifference. He used to care deeply, too deeply. Every shift in her tone, every delayed reply, every mood swing, he felt it all. He used to walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. But that version of him is dead. What replaced it wasn't anger and it wasn't revenge. It was indifference, pure, calm, unapologetic indifference. And that was the most unsettling thing she'd ever felt. She tried to bait him, a vague story, a shared memory post, maybe even a birthday text. She wanted a reaction, anything. But he gave her nothing because he no longer cared about her validation. He had cut the emotional cord. Stoicism doesn't mean you become a robot. It means you stop giving your power to people who don't know how to hold it. And indifference, that's what happens when a man reclaims his emotional real estate. Indifference isn't spite, it's freedom. It says, I've accepted the loss, I've grieved, and now you no longer have space in my mental world. She wasn't ready for that, because indifference removes the supply. It starves the ego. It says, you're no longer significant enough to affect me. And that makes her wonder, did she ever really matter? Dark psychology reveals this brutal truth. Humans don't obsess over what they have. They obsess over what they've lost and can't access. When a man becomes indifferent, he's no longer a character in her drama. He's the blank space in her script. And that unknown drives her mad. He didn't need closure. He didn't need to prove he was over it. His peace did that for him. And that's the real glow-up, not becoming hotter, richer, or louder, just becoming untouchable. Number 8. The return is too late. She came back. Of course she did. They always do. When the energy's gone, when the door is locked, when the light that once burned for them has turned cold. It might have been a simple, hey, just checking in, or a song she knew he liked posted to her story. Maybe even a fake apology, just enough to test the waters. But here's the part she never saw coming. He didn't flinch, he didn't reply, he didn't care, because by the time she came back, he wasn't waiting. That version of him, the one who would have dropped everything to hear from her, the one who would have overanalyzed every word, the one who would have begged for a second chance, that man was gone. She was trying to reconnect with a ghost. What she didn't understand is that when a man truly heals, he doesn't look back. He doesn't entertain old pain, dressed up as just wanted to talk. He recognizes the pattern and chooses peace instead. Stoicism teaches that healing isn't about revenge, it's about indifference. Real healing means you no longer seek to make them feel what you felt. You no longer hope they hurt. You no longer care if they change. You've outgrown the version of you that needed their attention, and now you protect your peace like it's your last breath. She thought her return would shake him, that he'd light up, feel flattered, maybe even grateful. Nope. He saw it for what it was, a test, a breadcrumb, a desperate attempt to access energy she no longer deserved. And instead of answering the knock at the door, he let it echo in silence. When she realized the door wasn't opening, the regret hit differently, because this time it wasn't just that he didn't want her back, it was that he truly didn't need her, and nothing haunts someone more than being replaced by peace. Number 9, love yourself harder than she ever could. He finally got it. The clarity, the shift, the realization that the love he kept begging for, the validation, the comfort, the loyalty, it was never hers to give. It was his to give to himself. That's the part most men miss. They pour everything into someone else hoping to feel whole. But real wholeness, real power, that comes when you love yourself more than you ever loved her. She was never supposed to complete him. She was supposed to complement him. And when she left, she took nothing he couldn't replace. Because he wasn't missing a piece. He was missing a standard. And now, he's raised it. He stopped romanticizing the past and started romanticizing his potential. Self-respect became his love language. Solitude became his sanctuary. Progress became his addiction. Stoicism teaches that your highest duty is to yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred one. A man who chooses himself cannot be manipulated. He's no longer available for situations that disrespect his soul. He no longer runs from loneliness because he's not alone. He's aligned. That's the transformation. He stops chasing people and starts chasing purpose. And ironically, that's when people start chasing him. She can feel it, the shift, the glow, the calm. Not because he's flaunting it, but because he no longer needs her to notice. He's done proving, done performing. He's not trying to be enough for someone else. He's finally enough for himself. Dark psychology confirms it. Self-love disrupts attachment, because when you love yourself fully, you stop tolerating half-love from others, and that's when regret hits her hardest. Not because he moved on, but because he became someone she no longer deserves. Number 10, walk away, stay gone, be free. This is where it ends. Not with drama, not with a tearful reunion, but with silence, stillness, and strength. He didn't just walk away, he stayed gone. And that's what changed everything, because walking away is easy. Anyone can leave in the heat of emotion. But staying gone, that takes power, that takes purpose, that takes a man who values peace over nostalgia, self-respect over second chances. She expected him to circle back. Maybe in a few months. Maybe after the next girl didn't work out. That's the cycle she's used to. Break, rebuild, repeat. But he broke the pattern. He didn't come back. Not because he hated her, but because he finally loved himself enough to never return to what broke him. He walked out of the fire and didn't look back to see if she followed. Stoicism teaches that freedom isn't found in having more. It's found in needing less. And he needs nothing from her anymore. No closure, no explanation, no apology. His silence is the answer. His absence is the boundary, and his peace, that's the proof. That's how you win. Not by making them miss you, but by becoming someone who no longer misses them. Dark psychology says the person who stays detached, the longest holds the power. And now, he holds it all. Not through control, but through clarity. He doesn't hate her, he just outgrew her. The version of him who would have done anything to fix it is gone. And what's left is a man who's finally free, not because he got over her, but because he got back to himself. She'll remember him. The way he stayed solid, the way he vanished without venom, the way he never came back. And that memory, it will haunt her far longer than any goodbye ever could. If you're done revisiting wounds that were never meant to be reopened, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I walk away and stay gone. You've heard the story, but it's more than a story. It's a blueprint. This isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming clear. The man who can walk away, who can stay silent, who can love himself harder than anyone else ever could, is the man who cannot be controlled. He doesn't chase, he doesn't cling, he doesn't beg. He simply leaves, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and he never looks back. That man, he becomes the storm, the standard, the one she never forgets. So if you're in that dark place right now, heartbroken, confused, questioning your worth, understand this. Your pain is not your end. It's your initiation into strength, into a clarity, into power. You don't need revenge. You don't need her to regret it. You need to become someone whose peace can't be shaken. That's what stoicism is. That's what real masculinity is. That's what freedom is. Now it's your turn. Step up, stay silent, stand tall, walk away, and never look back.